back. RotoWire Soccer DFS. We're talking Saturday's 5-game slate. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Ryan Belongia. Ryan, what's up? Last time we talked on an EPL show was with Jack Burkhardt about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. It's been a long time, but Ryan and Mo came back for some Champions League, and we have an 18-gamer coming up next week. So I can't wait to see what those contests look like from DraftKings. Probably going to be dumb, but hopefully we get something cool with an 18-gamer. I don't know. Either way, we're talking about the 5-gamer here. Ryan, what's going on?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have Jack and the machine here to sort of guide us a little. I was talking to you before. Both of us sort of just opened this slate up, so it might be a little bit different pod. Going to be a little bit of a first look pod. But that's pretty good. Maybe we can hash some things out. I don't know. I tried making a lineup at the start, or I tried making a lineup just a couple minutes before we came on, and it's kind of tough. Forward is especially tough with the pricing. I don't know. It didn't seem too obvious, at least at first glance. What do you think?
I just want to say, actually, I know a lot of people that play soccer also play NFL. So if you want, me and Ryan, we did a podcast for NFL on the RotoWire Fantasy Football, RotoWire Football channel on YouTube. Check that out if you want more of our thoughts on NFL. But my thoughts is, as you said, a little difficult. We got 12K Salah, who, they're home against Ipswich, and that one makes sense. The Arsenal players are, from what I saw, seemingly priced a little cheaper than I would have thought. Saka is out. He's 11.7K, but guys like Odegaard, Rice, 8K, 6.6K. So here, looking at the odds, Liverpool, their implied total is 2.8, pretty high. This is probably one of the higher ones I've seen this season in the league. 87% win chance. Newcastle are actually the second biggest favorite, which was kind of surprising to me here. Newcastle at Southampton, implied total 2.26. Arsenal at Wolverhampton, 2 implied total. And then you got Brighton home against Everton, Bournemouth home against Nottingham Forest. So a pretty interesting slate. I think it makes sense when we have, more than a few games, 5 games to run through these matches a little bit here before we actually get into it. So Liverpool, obviously the biggest favorite. Ipswich, a team that sits, a little bit in the low block here. And we just saw Liverpool last week, they ripped 36 shots or something against Brentford, I think it was. So we have a situation where it could be Liverpool struggle to score. They again rip 30, 40 shots, and Darwin Nunez comes on for a stoppage time brace or whatever. Or they could get 3 goals in the first half. You get your goals, but their floors are they finish with 15 shots, something like that. I think that's the situations there in that match. Newcastle at Southampton, Arsenal at Wolverhampton. I actually think Arsenal maybe are in play for better floors here. Southampton, Wolverhampton, pretty similar, I'd say, in terms of maybe what they want to do. Wolverhampton less likely to have possession, Southampton more likely to have possession. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I think Arsenal more likely to have better floors. Also, you got the guys like Jacob Murphy and whoever going off after 60 minutes. You have that issue going on. But Isak is scoring in every match, so I guess that has to be taken into account. Brighton, Everton, we could see a spot where Brighton actually have a good floor. A few matches in with David Moyes, it's been, Everton got their win against Tottenham, but how much does that mean? Home against Tottenham, who started Archie Gray, I think, in the midfield in that game. A weird lineup. Bournemouth against Nottingham Forest, I expect Bournemouth to actually have better floors in that one. Just a quick run through. Maybe that didn't help at all, but any...
No, that was a good run through. Run through.
Any thoughts on your end?
Yeah, that Liverpool total is the highest I can remember in the Premier League for a while for them. Salah's 12K, that's expensive. If you can't argue if you want to start there in cash games, but 12K is expensive. Part of it is, where would you go after that? And it'd be Anthony Gordon. I guess Newcastle in the second best spot. I do agree with that. They've been rolling, Newcastle, playing really well, and Southampton have just been conceding a ton of goals, making a ton of mistakes. So, and then Arsenal after that. I think the odds make sense. It's about how you would expect. I think what you said about the floors in all those games was accurate too. Just for cash games, back to forward, like Arsenal don't really, based on the prices, like Trossard and Martinelli are up to 8,800 and 8,600 now, which is probably too expensive without set pieces. But Trossard would have sets if Declan Rice doesn't start, so that would be in consideration. But I think you're probably looking to start with either Salah or Gordon. I mean, there's a pretty big gap in price, but you could make it work. I mean, depending on what you do at midfield and defender.
Yeah, it's pretty tough with that Salah price, and even Gordon at 9,600 is just pretty tough price this year. So Salah without set pieces. Actually, let's look in the cheat sheet here. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 48-hour trial, and you can get these cheat sheets here. Let's check out Salah's floor this season. It's up there. No set pieces when comparing it. This is per 90. He has the best floor of anyone without set pieces this season.
I mean, he's averaging 23 and a half fantasy points. And we can actually, saying averaging is weird, but we can talk about that when it's 18 games now. He plays 90 minutes just about every game. He has 18 goals and 13 assists. And it's a spot where Liverpool have almost a 3 total. So it's why, like, even for 12K, I don't if you say I'm just going to make it work, I don't mind that. It's a little bit like it was playing Messi back in the day. Like if you factor in how good the spot is for Liverpool.
Yeah, you look at the numbers, 4 shots, this is per 90 minutes. So, we know Enciso is, a shot, however you want to call him. Yeah, shot merchant. These are per 90 minutes. So Enciso and Sinistera, these numbers, whatever. Salah 4 shots per 90, 2 on target, but also 2.38 chances created, which is a pretty high number considering he doesn't have set pieces. Just look at these other players up here. All these guys are set pieces. TAA is 2.39 chances created per 90. Salah's right there without set pieces. Gordon, Odegaard, all those guys are right there as well. So, you don't even have to talk about set piece with Salah. He's just ripping shots. He's just creating on that wing. And this matchup will be Leif Davis over there. Not too worried about it. So Leif Davis and whoever they're starting at left center back. I know they've done a few different things lately with their back three and how they play. Maybe we'll get Ben Godfrey in this one, but not sure how that goes. But yeah, it's a decision. Do you want to pay 12K for Salah and you go down? Is Salah worth the 2.4K compared to Gordon? I guess is the question. And
if he scores a hat trick,
right? I still feel like he almost is. Like we don't get. Let's look through Gordon's upside here. He's coming off some good floor games. It seems like his upside is, in this 20-25, but Salah is the 30-40 point guy. I know this is more tournaments, but when you just combine those two things, I don't know. Is it worth the 2.4K? Maybe not in cash games, but we'll get into who else you're going to be spending on. So,
yeah, I would say they're both worthy options. It's kind of just like a take your pick thing. If you think you can, find the 2,400, it's kind of a lot. Are there other guys in play? I don't know. Let's see. Cody Gakpo, I think, is going to be a pretty good tournament play just because he's 11-2 and won't be as popular, but they rested Gakpo midweek. He's been playing close to 90 more often and putting up a pretty high floor himself. And I just love Gakpo as a player. So I think that's a good tournament play. Isak too might get a little bit squeezed at 10,200. Who else is in play for cash games? Let's see. Cunha 9,200 home against Arsenal. Can't really do that. That's a better tournament play.
Do you think he wants to show up to, get that Arsenal transfer? He's going to show him what he can do.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm sure he does. Yeah, and it's not going to surprise me if he has a good game. It's just there's, maybe if this was a 3-game slate and there weren't some of these other options, he'd be in consideration. But not against Arsenal on the slate. Better tournament play. Trossard or Martinelli, if Declan Rice doesn't start, would be an option. Probably a very popular option if that was the case. But if Rice does start, you can't really consider them in my opinion for cash. João Pedro, 8,400 in a great spot. Looks like a pretty good tournament play. Kai Havertz, 6,700. Pretty interesting. By far the cheapest Arsenal guy with Jesus out too. Probably seems set for 90 there. They brought him off midweek just because they didn't need him, and they brought Trossard on to play center forward. The Bournemouth guys here. Yeah, Semenyo gets played in cash quite a bit. We were sort of touting that from the start. It doesn't seem like an obvious option here, but I don't know. The guy who always plays 90 minutes as the last guy in, I mean, he's got upside. Doesn't seem that bad. If Kluivert were to have sets, I'd love that. I mean, that'd be great for 7K if Cook didn't start. Kluivert on pens and sets, but
let's actually talk about that here. Let me pull up Kluivert's profile because he actually, him and Brooks actually took all their set pieces last week.
With Cook playing?
Cook is playing right back, so Cook's at right back. So they switched to Brooks and Kluivert taking all their set pieces.
That is a good call, Adam. Maybe.
Christie 0, Cook 0. So I think that's pretty relevant.
Do you think that this only happens when Cook plays right back?
I mean,
there's
not been many opportunities for this.
I just, you see other teams do that where they don't want to have their right back run over to the left side of the field. So that's where Kluivert's taking the corners from.
I think that's exactly the reason. But again, there's been he played, I think it was the second half of one game where he did it. And then this past game. So I think we go off of that.
Yeah, I think we do too. Thanks for bringing that up. We go off the last game for sure. And Kluivert at 7K. Yeah, actually, he might be better than a Gordon point per dollar, to be honest. With pens and half the corners, yeah, I like Kluivert.
I think this is what it reminds me of is kind of earlier in the season when we didn't know Cunha was actually on set pieces. And let's see.
Yeah, that's a similar thing.
It was, he was pretty cheap here. He opened the season at Arsenal. He was 5K, 5,900. Then he slowly went up there. And
they have, different floors, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, so, this matchup I would say isn't prohibitive. Nottingham Forest playing really well this season, not allowing goals to an extent, but, they do have a low block. They do sit back. They don't play with possession. And there will be shot opportunities. The thing about Nottingham Forest is that they allow shots, but they're not good shots. So Bournemouth, Semenyo, Kluivert, those guys rip shots from outside the box.
The thing about Bournemouth is they create chances and play well offensively against basically everyone. So
right. Yeah, so I wouldn't even worry, if you're considering him in cash games, I wouldn't be like, oh, look at the odds here and Nottingham Forest top 4 side, low implied total. I wouldn't even worry about that. If this is where you're at. So Kluivert 7K, yeah, definitely. We like playing Semenyo on the show, but if you're getting cheaper than 400 cheaper and set pieces with Kluivert and PKs, I think it's hard to go Semenyo over Kluivert in cash games in this situation.
Yes, I agree, especially with Evan Nielsen and Unal both out. Because it gives you the extra out. Kluivert always used to get subbed early, but he's got an out now to play longer.
Yeah, Tavernier actually returned to training this week. Maybe some minutes off the bench, but he probably come on for David Brooks is my guess.
or Django.
Yeah, Django,
sorry.
Django is the movie Django. Also, they not got rid of, I think Philip Billing is on loan at Napoli, so he's not a worry to sub on either. So another thing there. Below that, though, is not really exciting, which is to be expected. Some guys I'll shoot out here. You mentioned Havertz. Minta is 6,500, coming off a pretty decent game. Home against Everton. I guess you can consider him here in cash games. And Dye at Brighton, maybe not at 5,500. Delap, 5,400. That's kind of what we're looking at here. Omari Hutchinson's 4,600, but he's at Liverpool. DCL, 4,400 at Brighton. I think that's about it. We could get, actually, I guess, if you want to look at Jota Silva, if he starts over Callum Hudson-Odoi. But again, minutes, 60, 65 minutes here, 4,200. That's kind of what we're looking at. Maybe if Philogene starts for Ipswich, 3,900. But again, he's at Liverpool. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Does anything else? I guess I'll bring up Adam Armstrong, 3,600. Onuachu, 3,700. Yeah, that's what we're looking at, Ryan.
Yeah, I actually think those Southampton guys are worth bringing up because that seems like the best move if you're going to play Salah would be to play one of those Southampton guys just because they're min price. I don't see much else down here. DCL is fine for tournaments at 4,400. But yeah, the Southampton guys, tournament play is more for me, but yeah, be surprised to see one of them score. Maybe even it could be cash plays too if you want to just punt off a forward spot. I think that would be fine.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'll bring up here, which you're not going to get on other shows. So Onuachu, Armstrong, and Cameron Archer are the only healthy forwards who would play in how they're actually playing. Sulemana just picked up an injury. Dibling's out. Those two guys they basically been subbing out their forwards in like the 58th, 60th minute for the past few games. You take a couple of those guys out. Now Archer is the only one to come in for Onuachu / Armstrong. So I don't really have
those guys. Yeah, one of those guys is going 90.
I don't exactly have a lean here, but I'd say Armstrong, but I don't think he's actually been a favorite of the new manager. It's hard to say.
Yeah. That's a good point, though. One of those guys probably goes 90 with Dibbling and Sulemana out. Man, I wanted to play Sulemana on this slate. Anyways, I think my guess would be Onuachu, unless they're winning. But assuming they're losing and assuming Onuachu's fit, I think you got to keep him on.
Yeah, Southampton have been fighting, is what I'll say for Southampton. They've been fighting. They haven't been able to fight for 90 minutes. They lost their last two games in, the final 10 minutes or something. But they've been fighting, and I think Newcastle can be beat, can be got, per se, for a goal or some set pieces. And Matthias Fernandes, 5,300. Maybe we'll get to him in a little bit. But yeah, so Salah, Kluivert probably are two favorite here for cash games, unless you can find the money to move to Gordon or someone else. But anything else stand out for you here?
No, I was just trying to figure out who this Ross Stewart character is.
I guess we didn't mention Elanga, 8,200. But I think he's still too expensive. Ross Stewart, he's just been injured all season, so.
I don't even know who that is. Yeah, I just saw a Q tag by him and that he had played in a couple games. Elanga, yeah, tournament play. Too much for cash, yeah.
Yeah. Midfield is, because we're probably going to spend somewhere at 4, maybe spend down a little bit, but here's what we're looking at. Odegaard is 8K. Declan Rice, 6.6K. So that's the split of Arsenal sets right there. Those are the main guys who stand out to me, really, in terms of the more expensive set piece takers. And the other guy we mentioned, so we got, if you go down basically to the 5K range, and there's some other guys up there, but Jesper Lindstrom, 5,600 at Brighton. Matthias Fernandes, 5,300 home against Newcastle. David Brooks, the other split of the Kluivert set pieces, 5,200 at home. His numbers last game were crazy. When I was looking at Salah's floor earlier, David Brooks was the other guy that stood out because his numbers also look kind of crazy wherever he is. Yeah, his floor per 90 is almost 14 points because he's crossing it 6 times per game, 3.43 shots per 90, which again, he mostly comes off the bench prior this season. So those are the cheaper options, and at least above 5K. So what's your first thoughts on midfield?
First thought is that Odegaard's too cheap. Probably should be 9K in this spot. So I think that's a really good cash game play. Just taking half the sets. Usually plays 90. Tons of upside too. I think he scored game logs look really good since he started taking sets over Saka. David Brooks, wow. 82 minutes and 83 minutes in his last 2 with those taking sets too. I've always liked David Brooks as a player. If Tavernier's not on the bench and I would predict 80 minutes, then he seems like a pretty good cash play. Mitoma for 6,300 looks good for tournaments. Declan Rice 66. If you can afford that, I wouldn't prioritize that at all. But as a last guy in, I think it's fine. But I think you can't really fade Odegaard for that price.
Yeah, all these. Why does DraftKings hate Arsenal? I guess is the question.
Yeah, it's probably tough to catch up with Saka being out. I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know. They were dirt cheap on the last slate. Maybe it's because they had a bunch of slates earlier in this season where they put up no floor and the algorithm is not accounting right.
Must be it. Do you have a favorite? Are you looking at these 5K guys? I guess
I don't know. Dude, I kind of like David Brooks. I like Bournemouth. I like how Bournemouth play. They put up floor. This is a decent floor spot. It's a decent price. So I like that. Who else is there? The Liverpool guys. I think Alexis McAllister is a decent play. Been taking a set corner here and there. He got rested midweek too, so maybe a little bit. Go ahead.
Stepping on your toes here, but I think Mikel Merino is the perfect tournament play here.
Wow. How much is he?
He's 5,400.
I mean, go on.
Well, I don't know if he actually played in the Champions League game, but he did not start. He did not
start.
He went 90 in the last league game. I think he's going to play for 90 again here. He went 90 against Aston Villa in that last game. In the Aston Villa game, he had a really good chance of scoring.
He should have, yeah.
He's getting shots. He's sneaking in. He's sneaking in a lot of times from the midfield, kind of almost behind Odegaard to a certain extent in some of these spots. But because, the way Arsenal play, these guys are up the field so much. This is like Man City with Kovacic and Rodri. These guys, if he's getting 90 minutes in a spot like this, he's going to get shots. He's going to get opportunities in front of net. And how many are going to play him? How many people are looking at Mikel Merino here for 5,400 in a spot with set piece takers and just a guy who, really hasn't made a name for himself at Arsenal yet. So I think he kind of stands out there for me.
It's a good shout. He's got goals in him. He's going to be under 5% because you got Tias Fernandez there too, who I didn't mention. Wouldn't fault anybody for preferring him to David Brooks. I might even myself. I don't know. I like Fernandez here too. Should go 90 probably with Dibbling and Sulemana out. That can't hurt his chances of going 90. Takes most of the sets. Got some upside too. He looks pretty good actually, Matias Fernandez. I've been impressed when I've watched him. That's one. Wow, Fernandez 53 and Brooks 52. Like to see what the machine says about that one. But that's an interesting decision. I think they're both good options, and I think they're going to make all the other guys low owned. Right? I mean, I'm going down the list. Is there anyone else in consideration here? Bournemouth guys don't have sets. Cooker, Christie, at least probably not. I think I don't really want to go below. I think that 5K range, there's some pretty good options. There's some pretty good options in the 6K range. I'm not really looking to go below that. I don't know. Is there someone I'm missing?
I'm looking at the Roto machine here, and the numbers are slightly better on Brooks, just
Just a really
because.
small sample, right? Like just think about trying to do this. Like such a small sample on Brooks. Minutes sample, like minutes too, and then in this specific Bournemouth team, which is a different team now with different players, and they, I don't know, play a little bit differently. Like so, it's a subjective thing, sort of too.
Yeah, also going into it, uh, Bournemouth are Southampton are a pretty big underdog here, so that's probably the
Yeah.
main
Oh, for
reason.
sure. And even with Matias Fernandez, right? Like, how are Southampton going to play? New manager there. Like, sometimes they're really bad. Sometimes they play okay. You know, there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. As I said, Southampton showing fight early in these games before completely
Fernandez is a good player.
collapsing. Yeah, him and Dibbling have been kind of, I think, the standouts, if you can say a standout
Definitely.
for this
Oh,
Southampton team.
Sulemana was incredible 2 games ago. One of was it against United? One of the best games
Hey,
I've
Onuachu
just.
had a good game too.
I
The
mean,
eight
Sulemana
shot
was
game.
like Sulemana was great in that game.
Yeah.
He deserved at least 1 goal.
Yeah, below 5K, we got the Brighton guys. Baleba is 5K. Ayari is 4,700. We're probably not going to be playing these Bournemouth guys if they're not taking set pieces. I'm talking Lewis Cook and Ryan Christie. Tenali is down at 4,200, but yeah, okay. I guess it's a good matchup,
Oh,
4,200.
Ayari's definitely in play. I didn't see that. Ayari's definitely in play for in all formats at 4,700. Splitting sets. Yeah, right. He's guaranteed to split sets when he plays, and even sometimes when you think he might be a little bit deeper, he's a box to box guy. He's still getting in there for some chances. As long as Baliba is in there with him. Yeah, I've warmed on Ayari recently. Like his game logs don't look great, but in the right spot, he could get there.
Yeah, it's a weird midfield where both Baliba and Ayari are just guys who will rip shots from 30 yards out. And this Brighton team is a team that I guess everyone on this team just rips shots. Now that I'm thinking about it, outside of Miedema, who prefers dribbling through everyone, like in CISO, just these guys just like ripping shots. And it's a situation home against Everton where they will get opportunities to rip shots. So
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to say that if Matt O'Reilly, I'm checking Matt O'Reilly.
I don't think he's healthy.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like he's he's not going to start then. When O'Reilly starts, he is the preferred set piece taker.
Yeah.
Definitely over a Stupinian, over Minta, and even like over Ayari, even though they're not the same foot. But if there's any question, like O'Reilly's a set piece guy, from what I've noticed.
Yeah. Any other thoughts here on midfield?
No.
Defender is TAA at 7,100. He's well above everyone else. Lewis Hall is next up at 5,800. Robertson, 5,800. Simicast, 5,300. I think we now have an interesting situation between these two where I guess maybe it's not interesting, but because they're subbing in for each other. But Simicast started the last couple matches, so you figure Robertson's going to start this one, but it seems like he's probably not going to go 90. So maybe it's a situation where you just fade both of them. But again, it's home against Ipswich, so maybe you don't fade them. I think I would say Simicast he's already 500 cheaper, but I think he has a better floor than Robertson as it is. He's more willing to just launch in crosses. You can back that up or refute that if you want. But I guess what the question is, would you rather have one of those would you rather have Lewis Hall, the second Liverpool guy, or a Stupinian here at 4,900?
Defender's pretty tough on this slate. And yeah, it's going to probably decide a lot. Since there's so many good options, you'll have people trying to convince themselves you can fade TAA. You might want to get up to Salah, might want to get up to somebody else. I think he's clearly the best option. He rested midweek in the Champions League. But yeah, like you said, you have Lewis Hall there at 58. It's a good spot against Southampton. He's been playing well and scoring well for the most part. Early sub last game, somewhat worrying. Tsimikas, I'd be surprised if Tsimikas starts here, right? If Tsimikas starts here, it's just over for Robertson. But like because Tsimikas started the last two,
Three
and he
games
went
in 1
90
week.
last game.
Yeah.
And he went 90 last game. So it actually makes me think I'd be more interested in playing Robertson, just because I would think the field would be somewhat weary of it. Yeah. Not only that, you have Trent there, and you have Lewis Hall at the same price. So it'd be a spot where I'd almost force myself to take a chance on Robertson, just because he'll be a little bit lower owned than he should be. Now, the other side of that is he's not great. Like, hasn't been great and gets subbed at 60 minutes. What if that happens? Then you're just dead, because now you're up against great defenders, and you played the guy who busts. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd be fine taking a chance on it, though. I think all those are good options. There are lineups where Estupiñán would look pretty good for 4,900. It's a pretty good spot. Recently, he hasn't been taking sets, though, I want to say. But, like, if O'Reilly's not in there, he might be on for half them. I don't know who has priority between him and Minta, but Minta only plays like 65 minutes. So 4,900 Estupiñán seems pretty good. 3,900 Ryan Manning might get a start, right? That seems okay if he's on the wing.
Oh,
a lot of good defender options.
Manning's back. I forgot. Well, possibly.
30. Yeah. So defender's tough.
Yeah, Sugawara was, I think, benched at one point against Forest. Either way, it's a tough decision there in terms of who's actually starting. I don't know who's going to start that one.
That's five decent defenders, maybe.
You didn't mention Kirkash. Kirkash is 4K.
All right, like these guys that just nobody's really going to play. I like Kirkash. Oh, he scored last week. He's been good. He's been much better recently, turning into like the player we all expected. He was just young.
You didn't see the clip that was going around where he was dead tired and he made a run. I think it must have been the last goal of the game. Ran the entire pitch for the game-ending goal there. In the 4-1
man,
win.
no, I need to look that up. No, I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah, he was like on his knees, bending over. Then all of a sudden they got the ball and he just ran.
Oh, that is awesome!
Ended up getting the goal.
Wow, that is awesome. No, I missed that.
But yeah, it's pretty.
Kirkaz is my boy.
It's a pretty wide range here of possibilities. I would say this isn't a center back slate. As I'm scrolling down the list, there's a lot of guys here to scroll down through. James Bree has been playing as a center back, right-sided center back, so he is not in play. But actually, maybe not. Jake O'Brien kind of played as a faux right back last game, but I don't think that's relevant enough at Brighton. I do want to say, just on Alexander-Arnold, this is like a spot where I don't want to fade him. Is kind of what it comes down to. We're already getting like a 10-point floor. Almost no matter what here, there's going to be a 10-point floor. But this is a spot where, I mean, we just saw it in that Brentford game. Talking about the low block for Ipswich and trying with their 5 defenders, trying to hold on for a score straw, hold on for a 1-0 win, get a late counter goal. If you get in a spot where Liverpool don't score in the first 70 minutes, you're going to get another 20-point floor with upside from TAA. And like, I just don't think you want to fade that. So that's my thought process here in going into this. You just don't want to fade that, I think. Even in cash games. I mean, in cash games, definitely, but tournaments, obviously do whatever you want, but still.
I agree. Sorry, I just looked up the Kirkaz goal. It was awesome. Nice little step over too, and before the goal. Yeah,
was that Trippier right there?
Yeah, it was Trippier. Yeah, oof, tough look. Yeah, I see too. Yeah, Kirkaz started following Liverpool. There's some articles here about. Oh, that's pretty interesting. I remember the first podcast we ever talked about Kirkaz. I said he was going to go to a bigger club. Sorry to bring that up, but I have to because somebody like a year after that said something like, "Oh, remember when Ryan said Kirkaz was good or something?" Oh yeah. So when he signs for Liverpool, then we'll see.
Who said that? It wasn't me.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I just remember little things like that.
I've been playing Kirkaz since day one.
No, not like no, for sure. But Just in terms of whether he's good or not.
Yeah. All right.
He struggled for a while. He was young. He was getting subbed early all the time, and it's tough. He was like 18 or whatever.
Yeah,
he was
you're not going to be your first year in the Premier League for most players. You're not going to be
Premier League's a wild league to
immediately acclimated to the level that they're playing. So it's you see this. I mean, if you watch this transfers and all that kind of thing, you watch all these sometimes big name transfers who just don't see the pitch very much. They're just not built for it. They just can't do it. It just came to mind with, obviously just not like a massive name here, but Diego Carlos was, solid center back at Sevilla, came to Aston Villa, had a bunch of starts, had a few starts. He's been starting the season, but now he's in whatever league he's in. Maybe he's in Turkey. I can't remember at this point, but he just transferred. He's no longer at Aston Villa. Just guys like
you're
that.
Right, though. You're right, though. I mean, you just made me think of someone like a Kiwi or even.
Right.
Like a highly touted guy, played well internationally, like a couple, but like Arteta almost refuses to use him now because like the Premier League's almost, he makes a lot of errors and like.
Yeah, I mean Zinchenko, like.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, we're just talking about Arsenal guys now, but
guys that could really succeed in other leagues. That's like really succeed in other leagues.
Yeah. Goalkeeper, Alisson, 6K. He's got almost 50% clean sheet odds. Are you going to have the money to get to Alisson? Probably not.
I highly doubt it.
It seems pretty difficult here.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. We mentioned all the good defenders, Salah, Odegaard. It's pretty tough. I don't know. There's some value, but no, it's pretty tough. I don't know. Probably pay down, Adam. I could see people going all the way down to Walton. People like playing the punt keepers against Liverpool. Liverpool shoots so much. Can't really argue with it, to be honest. So
yeah,
what
did Flecken have last week? He had something good, didn't he?
One thing I would like to go through all the games and. Of all the keepers that play against Liverpool, all the really underdog keepers and compare it to against the other top teams. But to me, Liverpool, at least it's just anecdotal, but feels like the safest or the one you like playing the opposing keeper against. At least that's how I feel. I don't know about you, Adam. Like a keeper against like City or Arsenal, a little bit weary about it. Against Liverpool, yeah, you might get like 4 or 5 put past you, but probably get a bunch of saves too.
Yeah, I think you can see the opponent rank on DraftKings. Liverpool are actually the second worst team to play. Arsenal, as they have been, I think for the last couple of years, they are the worst team to play for goalkeepers because they're so patient in their attack.
Just
according to
what I said.
According to these numbers, you could be wrong. You could be
probably
wrong
just some anecdotal stuff, or maybe it's just specific spot kind of stuff.
But I mean,
okay. Other keepers in play too. Like Adam, you could play the goalkeeper for the third place team in the Premier League for 4,200. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, you can. I'd actually, don't ask me Nottingham Forest questions. I've gotten everything wrong with them. So
yeah, just saying.
I can't answer your question.
Keeper for the third place team in the Premier League is 4,200. I think that's perfectly fine. I think Pickford's fine for 4K. You wouldn't be shocked if Everton won or drew or whatever. I don't know. It's goalkeeper, right? I would just say I kind of prefer the cheap guys at first look.
Sells, Pickford, Walton.
Yeah, the bigger the slate too. The better the chances that a cheap guy will be optimal.
I also don't trust Liverpool. I don't trust Dubravka. I don't trust. Okay, I'll trust the Arsenal back line, but they are still injured. Saliba, we'll see if he starts. Are you going to trust Arsenal on the road? I know Wolves are bad, but still, it's not like he's a guy who makes a ton of saves as it is. So you're still hoping for the 12, 14-point game, which is always the thing where what I don't want to pay for If he's not going to get saves, I don't want to pay for the 12, 14 point game.
Just tournament plays like those road keepers, Dubravka, Raya, tournament plays.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend up in cash, it would be for Liverpool, but I think you're probably spending down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sums up every position. Wow, we kind of went through that pretty quicker than usual, I guess you could say. 40 minutes in.
Relatively comprehensive, I thought.
Yeah, we're very efficient on this show. So we haven't talked too much about tournaments. So I guess what's the most popular route here? Is it going to be like, of course, Salah's probably going to be the most popular play. Salah, TAA, and then who else is going to be in that most popular roster? Is it going to be? I mean, you can't really fit in another attacking Liverpool guy. So like, who's the other most popular play going to be? Odegaard, I guess. Odegaard, Salah, TAA. Those three probably.
Yep, and then the other set piece defenders, and then Gordon and Kluivert, and some of the 5K mids we talked about. I think, and I think that's probably it. I think that's the chalk, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, to move off Salah, just go Gakpo, go Diaz, Szoboszlai,
Love that. I think Diaz would be even lower owned. People are catching on to Gakpo. So he'll catch ownership in this spot, even at 11-2.
Curtis Jones is out, and Szoboszlai hasn't really had the greatest season, but he took 7 shots last game. So, I mean, he's in play for 90 minutes as a tournament play.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Moving off of Odegaard, as you already said, Havertz is there. Of course, the other Trossard, Martinelli are there as well.
I like Havertz. Yeah, I think Havertz will just catch ownership anyways. I think because he's 6,700. You would have thought, like, you look at Martinelli and Trossard at 2K more. Wow, yeah, that's way too much. Havertz should be like 7,700, so he's going to catch ownership.
What about the most obvious play here?
I mean, I know. Sorry, go ahead.
Alexander Isak.
Yeah, him.
2K. He scored I guess he didn't score last game, but he had scored in 8 straight matches, and he's playing Southampton.
Great tournament play. Definitely going to go under-owned. And one other, man, I'm tempted. I think I might even.
You're going to hold it.
I'm going to flag plant the guy. I'm going to flag plant the guy for you.
Oh, no. Don't say Chris Wood.
And it's not Chris Wood. No, it's a guy who I think he's caused you pain too. I know he's caused me plenty of pain because he just never seems to do it when I take the chance on him. And then in other spots, he just goes off when you don't really want to play him.
Beat him up.
And this is a spot where he's got brace upside here. And
Pedro.
I think he'll go a little bit under-owned. It could be wrong. You know who I'm going to say?
João Pedro?
João Pedro.
Okay.
Flag plant.
You know, I was going to mention it earlier in the show. Did I mention it? But he was a guy last season. Let's click into his profile. We got some time here. I'll click into his profile.
No, now you're going to just increase his ownership.
No, I'm not actually. I'm going to decrease it. Okay. Look at his numbers here last season. Look all the times.
Oh, yeah. Last year he was good, and this year he's not. I see what
he had over 3 shots in basically every game. He was one of those guys he's like a Salah to some extent, where he's just ripping shots. Look at this. Here are the averages: 3.3 shots, 1.67 chances created per 90 minutes. This season under Hertzler, it just hasn't been like that. New manager, he hasn't had more than 3 shots in any match. Averaged 2.01 shots per 90, 0.89. His chances created are lower. He's touching the ball less.
Yeah, okay, that's not very encouraging. Do you know who has been succeeding under Hertzler?
Danny Welbeck when healthy.
Yes, sir. He's going to go under-owned at 7,200.
Are you changing your flag plant?
No, but Welbeck's a good tournament play too. Seen him hit 1 free kick this year. He went on a run where he scored in like 4 out of 5 games, and he just came back from injury. Started last game, so going to go under-owned here. Like I will have some in tournaments.
I agree with that. I agree. How much is he? 7,200. Okay, it's not terrible.
It's not terrible,
I think my least favorite thing about the Brighton guys is it seems like they're all like if they score 4 goals, it seems like it's going to be 4 different players scoring.
Yeah, because that's annoying. A dinger there, and Reuter scored in back-to-back games. I wouldn't be surprised to see Reuter get a start here. I'm still a fan of his, and for 5,300, I think that would be a good play.
Reuter only scores off the bench.
Yeah, kind of. Every time you play him in DFS, he busts. He's one of those guys. I still remember. I touted him for over 3 shots one game, and he had 0.
Yeah, because when he starts, he goes like 60, 70 minutes.
Yeah,
especially with Pedro and Welbeck healthy, he'll probably go 60 minutes. So that is, even though he's cheap, that is obviously a worry.
53, it's not bad.
But yeah, I mean that's just one of the worry. You look through, Welbeck has all these goals, but he doesn't hit 20 points. He
like no braces with Welbeck. Do you even want like 14 points from 7,200?
Right, that's kind of what I was looking at with his price. It's like, oh, okay, he's kind of in that range where, all right, 18
yeah, that's
points.
What makes it tough. Yeah, you almost like you need almost more than a goal. Although 18 probably gets it done, but not always. I mean, I'm talking to like win first place and stuff.
I think the ideal...
Probably not, actually. 18 probably is not enough on this 5-game slate. But
not with Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal in these spots.
Unless you just can't end up affording some of the expensive guys. I don't know.
I'm working up my strategy here. I think if you want to target this Nottingham Forest Bournemouth game, you get an early Ryan Yates goal.
Not Chris Wood?
I think Wood's in the same situation as Welbeck here almost. If you get the early Wood goal, you're going to be sitting on 2 shots and 1 goal for the entire game because Bournemouth are just going to run rampant the rest of the way because that's how Nottingham Forest play a little bit. So that's why I want the run back here. You get the first Nottingham Forest goal, then you get tons of floor, and Bournemouth are known for this season scoring goals in the final 10 minutes of matches. So you get all the floor points, and then you get the late goals from Semenyo, Cliver, whoever. I think that's a strategy no one's really going to do.
It's a good call.
And similarly, I think...
But you got to get the Forest goal, right?
Yeah, similarly, maybe it's easier to do because Southampton have just done this in recent matches where they've fallen apart in like the 80th minute. You get the Onuachu, you get the Armstrong goal, or even Fernandez. I mean, Fernandez, he's not going to be that popular. He's cheap, but still a home underdog. Brooks is right there. You get a goal from Southampton, and then you get all the Newcastle floor points, and you get the late goals from Isak. You get Gordon floor points, whatever. Maybe you throw in, how much is Bruno? He's probably too expensive, but 6,900. I
got a new one. I got a different way to play that game. Maybe you just go with whoever of Armstrong, Onuachu, and Archer doesn't start, and then you're guaranteed to get them for 30 minutes in the time when Southampton are going to have the best chance of scoring when they've had a lot of their recent goals.
You're reading that. You're reading that the opposite of me then.
I'm a little bit. No, I think that game's fine to stack like that. I don't know. Yeah, one of those Southampton guys at that price has a pretty good chance to be optimal. Just any goal involvement.
All right, I guess I was saying Southampton have battled their last 2 matches. It was only the game against Manchester United.
They have not been battling much.
They were torn apart by Forest. They battled against Manchester United. That was the
everybody battles against United.
Yeah. Okay. I apologize for the lie right there, but they only battled against Manchester United after beating Swansea in the FA Cup. They're home this week, so I don't know. I think we've brought up a lot here. What are the chances? Man, this Wolverhampton team is tough. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say here? Do you think who's more likely to allow a goal, Liverpool or Arsenal?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say Arsenal. What do the odds say? Yeah, I would say Arsenal. The odds must say Arsenal. Just home and away.
Yeah. 0.73, 0.92.
Yeah. And, Wolves have better players. Wolves have Cunha, who scores in tough spots all the time. So,
are you throwing shade to Jaden Philogin or?
I didn't even know that they had Jaden Philogin. No shade, I guess. Delap could score.
Just imagine you're first place, you're a massive favorite, but on the other side of the pitch, you're going against Philogin, Omari Hutchinson, Liam Delap, maybe Calvin Phillips gets a start. Are you scared of that team?
No, I'm not. But the last couple times I've watched Ipswich, Hutchinson has looked really good. He doesn't get the opportunity much, but he's a really good player.
He's looked pretty good all season, I'd say. It's just been Ipswich are losing almost every game. So, him and Delap have had their moments, that's for sure. Maybe they get another guy. I don't know how much Philogen's going to change things. I was just kidding there, but they have a lot of guys that are kind of similar, and we'll see what happens there. But you got anything else here? I think we've extended our conversation to. We have not mentioned Decore yet. I guess that's a thing. I guess DCL. I mentioned his name earlier. I played him in their last game against Tottenham. Calvert-Lewin is 4,400 here, and he's gone 90 back-to-back matches under David Moyes. So I don't know. Has Beto even come into these matches? It seems like Moyes doesn't even like Beto. Beto 9 minutes, 7 minutes. So Moyes has come in and Calvert-Lewin's going 90 minutes. And do you have a possibility here where Brighton doesn't start Lewis Dunk? He's dealing with a muscle issue. So if Lewis Dunk doesn't start, already kind of a iffy defense. Maybe Everton riding some vibes here under Moyes. You can get a very cheap Calvert-Lewin goal if you're inclined to take the Toffees route. What are you building over there?
I was just nothing. I was just looking at Newcastle. Newcastle have no subs. Kind of interesting. Barnes is out. Wilson's out. Only Almiron, who's kind of even barely even with the team.
Almiron is
Newcastle have
probably going to sign with
very
Atlanta
few
pretty
subs.
soon.
Very few subs on Newcastle. I don't know. That's just what I noticed for their attacking guys.
Yeah, it'd be
Osula.
Osula
don't even really like to use, and who would only come on for Isak. I can't see them playing together.
Yeah, so when Jacob Murphy goes out, you have Willock, Inyo, and Jolinton always can move to that left wing role.
So yeah, Adam, what was going through my head was that just you can play some of these Newcastle guys in tournaments. There's ceilings there. Might be out there for 90 minutes. Might score 4 goals in this spot. Might go a little bit overlooked.
I'd say everyone for 90 minutes but Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, see? That's what I noticed.
And maybe Willock Inyo starts and you play Willock Inyo for 3,600.
Oh, fire that up.
There we go.
Play Tonali for 42. Tonali for 42 is not the worst tournament play at 5%.
So many tournament plays. We have to find out the correct tournament play, though. But this is all we can do here on the RotoWire Soccer DFS show. We've supplied everyone with 30 different options, 50 different options, 100 different options.
Too many.
Of how to attack tournaments. And if someone doesn't win the $1 million on Saturday, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not our fault. All right, sorry, 5K, 10K. When I loaded up my lineup earlier, the contests weren't even out yet. So
there's a king of the pitch. There's a couple king of the pitch. There's a mega qualifier finally. So I'll try to get another ticket. There's some decent contests. I mean, for what the lobby is these days.
Looks like they're up now. It was early this morning. But that's all we got. You can find Ryan at Ryan Belongia. I am at Zdroik. Thank you for listening. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. Good luck, everyone, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thanks, Adam. Good luck, everybody.